Shalom, Yasharala. This is your brother Dawud from GMS Tampa Bay 07, coming at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakah, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, I can pushing this truth with sincerity in the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions. All right, I'm going to jump into this here quick lesson as a follow-up on the Venezuela story, all right? You know, America is steadily pushing for a complete governmental overthrow in Venezuela, as well as in, like, other places like Syria. Okay, America is going forth, basically dividing and conquering the whole world, or not even dividing, just just conquering the whole world. Well, he actually is dividing. He's dividing people up into different sects and different categories and things like that. But the so-called devil, trying to have everybody under his rulership, under his, how he says, his new world order, But nevertheless, we're going to jump into the scriptures. This is Jeremiah chapter 22, verse 13. Woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong. Okay? So the scriptures say, woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong. All right? So, like, when you want to build your house, let's say, and your house could be, a representation of anything. Let's say you're trying to so-called build a business, a relationship, anything, whatever it is. If you build it off on righteousness, the scriptures say, woe unto you, So let's say in a relationship, woe unto him, for example, woe unto him that's build his house, or a relationship off of unrighteousness, Maybe you're in an adulterous relationship. You didn't caught this chick from, she was some other man's stuff, woe unto you, that's you commit adultery for one, or, you build your actual house, off on righteousness, So you go and you go get some money, some kind of way, some drug money or something like that. You flip it in the game, and now you're trying to go legit and buy you a house. Woe unto you, it's going to come back on you, You know how the government get down. And, even if you're trying to build a business, you building a business crooked ways or in anything, You see these athletes, they building their so-called career, their legacy. Then they get caught with steroids or cheating or something like that. And it corrupts them, That's why you're supposed to always walk the righteous walk, But it says, woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness and his chambers by wrong. Okay. And the biggest house that, for this story, the biggest house that we be speaking about is not only America, but the American empire, that economy and the dominance that keeps Esau on top, And so it says, woe to him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness and his chambers by wrong, that uses his neighbor's service without wages and giveth him not for his work. Basically slave labor, The difference between a slave and an employee is the employee is getting paid for his work, the slave isn't, So it says, basically, woe unto him that uses his neighbor's service without wages and giveth him not for his work, So how did the so-called white man establish this landmass that we living on here today in Babylon? All right. First of all, this was the so-called Native Americans, the Northern Kingdom's land. The so-called white man came over here by deceit when they was at peace with him, and made treaties with him. And he wound up breaking all his treaties and turning on the Native Americans and stealing their land, genociding them. Then he further established his kingdom over here, economically and putting himself on the world stage, getting some money by free labor with what they call with slavery, the Southern Kingdom, he enslaved the Southern Kingdom over here, And then on top of that, in World War II, he further establishes his dominance on the world stage by dropping those nuclear bombs, okay, or those atomic bombs over in Japan. All right. So he established not only his house, America itself, by wickedness and unrighteousness, but his his global dominance, his global stature, all over the whole world, Not only is he, like America is only, from coast to coast, California to the East Coast, but Esau also has his dominion in these other countries. That's why he's able to do things like say in Syria, we want regime change. Tell North Korea they can't have nuclear missiles. Tell Iran they can't have nuclear missiles, because his dominance, he's established his house as He's established his house as having dominion over the whole earth. Okay, this is what Esau has in his heart. All right, but he's establishing it off of wickedness, unrighteousness. All right, and it says, verse 14, that saith, I will build me a wide house and large chambers. Okay, yeah, this wide house. Not only are you satisfied with America, like I said, from border to border or from coast to coast, you trying to establish your global dominance over the whole nation, the whole planet Earth. The seas, trying to tell China they can't build in South China Seas. Talking about regime change in Syria, Venezuela, which we're gonna get into, Nicaragua, and how do you say usurping authority over in places like Colombia and things like that. You over here overthrowing all these governments and pushing for regime change everywhere. It says, verse 14, that saith, I will build me a wide house and large chambers, and cutteth him out windows, and it is chiseled with cedar and painted with vermilion. Not only did you try to build your house, like I said, here in America, you want to have the whole planet Earth, and then you trying to have it fully decked out, and at the expense of what? Okay, at the expense of everybody else's blood, sweat, and tears, they pain and suffering, their oppression, So reading this again, it says, Jeremiah 22, verse 13, woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness. Okay, American empire, not just this landmass here, but the further spread of their empire, these other countries they take in. And his chambers by wrong, that uses his neighbor's service without wages and giveth him not for his work. Yeah, like the slavery that he had us in, and stealing and through the broken trees with the Native Americans. All right. Through his media and propaganda, like out in Syria. All right. And also in Venezuela and stuff like that. He's trying to steal these resources out here in these other nations. That's what he want over in Venezuela. He want control over the state-run oil. They had the license to the oil. The how do I say, the government more or less is a nationalized oil system, if I'm not mistaken. And so the government of Venezuela get money off of that. It's not no private industry where it's a couple private people in America, or the elites in America don't like that. So they want to get their hand in there. So they're gonna do what they did back in the day in Iran. Try to overthrow it with their propaganda. All right. It says, verse 14, that saith, I will build me a wide house and large chambers. Okay. Yeah, you trying to not only establish over here, but the rest of the planet as well, and other people's nations. All right. And cutteth him out windows, and it is chiseled with cedar and painted with vermilion. All right. You want the best of the best of everybody else's stuff. You want the life support of Venezuela, their oil. All right. This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2. Let's start at verse 4. It says, but the soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Okay, it's showing how do I say, compare contrast between the righteous of Israel and then Esau, and 2/3 of our people, it says, but behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. Esau, his wicked, perverse spirit, it's not how do I say, it's how in the world they say he got a pure heart or whatever. This guy's got a pure wicked heart. He's not how people say he's not genuine or whatever. You got a genuine concern for people in the world. Esau ain't like that. He don't give a damn about everybody else. He only care about feeding his own pocket and his own greed. It says, but the just shall live by his faith. And see, Esau, like one of the things Esau do is store up all these riches for. Like he say, I'm gonna store up all my riches for in that day, but he got way more riches than what he needs. But the just shall live by faith, even though the just can't see the certain things at this point in time. The just they're gonna keep in his word. They're gonna keep with the faith. Look, we know this is only but for a short time. One day we gonna not be oppressed like this no more. It says verse 5, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Yeah, and Esau goes off by his wine, his false doctrine. Yeah, two men can indulge in sexual relations and they can get married. Two women can do the same thing. A 5-year-old child is responsible enough to make a decision like, yo, I want to have a sex change. I think I'm a different gender or something like that. He's transgressing by his wands, by his wand, by telling people all this. How do I say? Disinformation. He's just feeding them just bad information. Lies. His wand. Just like if you was to feed somebody a bunch of wine or alcohol, what is their mind gonna be like? All right, they're gonna be like discombobulated, or how do they say, like when you drunk, you in a like a euphoric state. You're not thinking sane and straight. But if you were sober minded, you can make a sane decision. So sometimes, for example, the reason they tell you not to drink and drive is because you more likely to make a not to say a well advised decision, but like you more or less to make a dumb mistake, or do some dumb shit, more or less to say, more or less than if you were sober. For example, you drinking and driving, you more or less to do 120 down the interstate going the wrong way because you drunk and you think it's fun. Whereas if you sober minded, you gonna be doing the speed limit. You see what I'm saying? Or if you sober minded, you know what I'm saying? You're like, look, I done had some drinks. I ain't even gonna go out, or I'm not even gonna drive. I'm gonna have somebody else drive, or if I'm gonna go out and get drunk, I'm gonna have me a designated driver. But yet, you see, Esau, he'll feed you his wine, his propaganda. Oh yeah, this is all good. Homosexuals can, lay down together and have a healthy relationship and raise a healthy family, and telling people everything is all right, But lo and behold, that people is drunk off of his Babylon juice, They just buying into his lies because he's the damn devil, the deceiver, It says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire is hell, and as death, and cannot be satisfied. Yeah, it says, who enlarges his desire is hell, and as death, and cannot be satisfied. How do I say? He not satisfied with, okay, so you like, all right, look, all I need to do is get $100 for whatever reason. I'd be satisfied. Let's say, okay, let's say you a little teenager or whatever, right? It's summertime, and you like, look, I'm gonna go do X, Y, and Z so I can save up my little money, my little chore money, so I can buy a video game. The video game costs $60, right? And I'm gonna do what I gotta do to get my little $60. Now you done got your $60, you done bought the game, but you steadily going. You're like, yo, why don't you just calm down? You already got what you needed. You know what I'm saying? And in a sense, like, yo, you ain't trying to pay no bills. Like I said, you're a 16-year-old kid living with your parents, But you steadily going, and you've already surpassed your goal, or you've already surpassed what you needed, Or you got your sufficient, your more or less to say your daily bread, what you need to live a so-called normal life. But yet the so-called white man, yeah, look. You came over here, all right, it was bad enough you came over here and stole this land, you conquered this land, you developed this land, off of wickedness, you stole the land off of broken treaties and genocide, then you enslaved another nation. All right, that shit's wicked and all, but at the same time, you the damn devil, we're gonna just let that shit, not that we're gonna let that shit ride, but we can't really do nothing about it. But you ain't satisfied with stealing this land. You gotta go over to the other nations as well, put them all in subjection. And you ain't satisfied with that because you gotta go steal their resources, all right? Not only that, now you got to go steal the minds of these people, all right, and enslave them to do all kind of perverse and wickedness, so you could just further destroy their mind and milk them while you doing it, It says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire is hell, and as death, and cannot be satisfied. Yeah, and can't be satisfied, he just want more and more. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And so, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, America can't be satisfied, on a smaller note, this is the so-called melting pot here in America. But in a deeper sense, he heapeth unto himself all people. Not that he, let everybody just live over here. He bring everybody together to serve him, Like I said, what is he over there doing in Iran? He want them to be up under they how do I say they banking their banking system, He want ties to their oil over there, all right? What does he want in Venezuela? He want their oil over there. What does he want in Syria? Okay, I believe it's either Syria or Libya. One of those places they actually found a like a natural water spring, which is like fucking gold over there. You know, they're not gonna actually come out on the news and tell you that, like in Afghanistan, why they want Afghanistan for the opium instead of the terrorists. But it's either Libya or Syria. I think it might be Libya, because Syria, they want the pipeline to go through there for the oil. But but nevertheless, you know, one of those two countries, they found a natural water spring, you know, which is like gold in the Middle East, because look, you in the middle of the desert, you know, and if you got a natural water spring, fresh, clean already, you don't have to like clean it, and it's an unlimited supply of water. You got gold out there, you know, you can sell that to everybody out there, you know, from rich to poor. You know, they all want and need water for all kinds of things, you know. But nevertheless, you know, that's part of him heaping all these nations unto himself. He bring all these nations to himself to basically be his servants and his slaves. Look, off of the Venezuelan people, we can get oil. Off the Iranian people, we can get oil, and we can get y'all to be enslaved to our monetary system, you know. Out of Syria, we can get that oil. Libya, we can get that water. You know what I'm saying? Afghanistan, we can get that opium. And with these things, you know what I'm saying, like the oil, you know, these other nations depend on that to move things around, to transport things around, and goods and stuff like that around, you know. Even if you're not, you know, directly so-called tied to oil, and so-called say you care about oil, you know, a 16-year-old, you ask a 16-year-old, he's like, I don't give a damn about the oil trade, you know. But really that shit affect him more than he know, you know. Like, well, don't you like riding around with your friends in your car? You know, you need the oil for that. Not only your car, but the trucks that move all your goods, like your groceries, you know, whatever else you're doing, all that shit. You know, if you a shoe head, you can't get them shoes come in because what? Them trucks ain't moving, you know, clothes or whatever, whatnot, you know. So you more tied to that oil than you know. But nevertheless, you know, Esau bring all these people unto him for their servitude and their resources, all right? It says, verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay? Yeah, woe to him that increases that which is not his. You out here always constantly, again, you're not satisfied. You out here constantly stealing more people's shit, you know? You already known as the worldwide thief, like the most, how do I say, the most, you know how they got America's Most Wanted, the number one villain, more or less to say. You know, you the number one bad guy, you know, because you done stole America and had the two largest atrocities over here, you know. First of all, you genocided the Native Americans and stole their land, and then you enslaved the Southern Kingdom over here, you know. You got two back-to-back, not war crimes, but crimes on your hand, you know. And, you know, you already increasing on that which is not yours, but yet nowadays, in fast forward time, you know, and before that, you know, the Spanish conquest, the British conquest, now the American conquest, you know. You ain't satisfied. You just switch up names and keep it moving, you know. Just when the Spanish conquered, you know, the British conquered, and all these other nations. Now America's going through and doing a thorough conquering, you know. And once you erase those names, like the British, the Spanish, and the Americans, what you left with? These Edomites, all right? When you look at it like that, it's like, damn, all right? It says, woe to him that increases that which is not his. How long? So again, like I said, look, from the Crusades to the British expansion, colonialism, the American expansion, you know, and whatever the fuck they want to call it today, national security and the war on global terrorism. I don't know what the hell they calling this type of expansionism right now, but you know, but how long you gonna keep doing this? Subjecting all these other nations, beating down on all these other nations, starving these other nations out, holding all these other nations hostage, all the civilians hostage in these nations, and just depleting their nations of all their resources and reaping all the benefits from it. How long you gonna do this? All right. It says, woe to him that increases that which is not his. How long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay? All right. And how, see, now America's not laden with thick clay because it's buying all these resources from all these nations and they just can't pay their tab. No, America is broken in debt right now, maximum debt. Like they say, it's laden himself with thick clay because of what? America's number one spending. When you look at the pie chart, where's America's, the biggest part of America's budget going to? Military spending, all right? Esau's sword, that's his blessing. Esau get down with his sword, you know, that's his blessing. The military budget, you know, that's what's covering him with this thick clay, you know. Or to him that it says, how long into him that ladeth himself with thick clay? Bro, why you keep putting subjecting all your civilians or your citizens to pay higher and higher taxes, turning them into a third world country and enslaving all of them just for your military budget. You know what I'm saying? So you can go and plunder and conquer the rest of the world. You know, you're not bringing none of the spoils back to break off your own people. You know, the whole planet Earth, you just depleting the whole planet Earth from all the resources. You know, rape, robbing, and murdering, and just look at the conditions of the people, man. All the people is starved out on all the planet Earth. You know, so these other nations look at us as a whole. Americans, you stupid Americans. All you do is rape, rob, and murder the whole planet. You know, but when you get over here in America, look at these Americans here. You know, they are broke and destitute as well too. The so-called elites in America, they don't take care of the what they do in certain scenarios, but like for the shit that they stealing and the amount of money they getting, they not taking care of their so-called American citizens like that. You know, but nevertheless, you know, this damn devil, these Edomites, you know, they got everybody in subjection. All right, going back to the other scripture we read, woe to him that covet the evil covetousness. All right, but nevertheless, it says verse 7, shall not they rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, and of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Okay, so I actually jumped a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, verse 7 and 8, you know, is saying, yo, like, okay, let's go back to verse 5 and 6. Like, when you think about this all together, you know what I'm saying? I know I'm breaking it down a little bit, but when you think about it all, it's like, you know, put it in the Jake term, fast forward today, you know, it's like, let me try to think of somebody who is like this. Okay, prime example. You know, Jake loved this movie Scarface, you know? It's like, you know, whatever Scarface homeboy name was in the movie, you know? And I don't even know if this go like this, but I'm gonna give you an example just to paint the picture, you know? Tony Montana taking the whole block over, you know? He had some friends in the game and shit like that, but then now he started robbing and killing his friends and taking his friends' old ladies and shit, you know? Tony Montana now is starting to do all his cocaine and shit. This nigga, you know, facing the table type of shit, you know, rolling up in the restaurants, pulling guns on other, you know, big name mob bosses or big name drug dealers and shit, and killing politicians, and, you know, getting they shit all put up on the media, you know, they all headlining in the news and shit now. And, you know, they just doing everything, you know, bodies is turning up everywhere. They starting to go to war here and there, you know. Tony Montana doing everything now. He just straight live on Front Street, you know. And now you being his boy is like, yo, Tony, chill out, bruh. Man, you got all this money, bruh. You know what I'm saying? You on top. You the number one, bruh, in the whole streets right now, bruh. Like, just chill, bruh. You got all the money, all the cars, you own all the establishments. You now supplying all the other suppliers in the city now. Just chill, bruh. There's nobody atop of you right now. Well, there's one dude atop of you right now, you know, Sosa, you know. But he off in a whole nother country. He just like your plug. You know what I'm saying? So chill, bro. Just, you know what I'm saying? Let your pride sit and be steep, you know? And it's like his desires is his death in hell, bro. You can't be satisfied with being the king of Miami and the king of the whole US, bringing in all the blow, and, you know, you just the shit, man. You know, thinking of his character in the movie, you know? It was nobody else touching him. That was the whole theme of him in his high life. But what, that pride got him over the edge, you know? He was doing too much cocaine and was pissed off because his homie was dating his sister and shit, and he felt like he was invisible, you know, and that was part of his demise. And that's when everybody else was like, look, bro, we can't survive with this nigga in the water, you know? We need to put all our differences aside, and we need to band together against this nigga, you know? And that's like what the scripture is talking about. It says, shall not they rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, you know? And now we hear in the scene in the movie of Scarface where you know, Tony Denardi and double crossed Sosa was talking about, oh, he ain't shit, man. He just a little fucking monkey, blah, 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 whoop de whoop. You know, I'm really the big man. I've been putting in all this work, man. Who is he to come over and try to tell me shit, you know? And Sosa like, bro, you don't know who you messing with. And I already got the rest of these niggas you pushed into a corner on my side. And we finna roll up on you, you know? So shall not they rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee. Thou shalt be thou shalt be for booties unto them. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood and for the violence of the land and the city thereof and all that should dwell therein, you know? And so like the analogy I was giving you with Scarface, this at the end of the movie, you know, where there's the raid on Tony's house now, you know? Sosa then sent his army out there to go take them on, and Scarface is at that scene is like, you fucking with me, you fucking with the best, you know? He realized he done for, but he coming out with all the guns ringing, you know? And so, and this is what America's doing, you know? America's pretty much at that point now, you know? It's back in the movie, like, you know what? Fuck Sosa. Fuck everybody else, bro. We America. We don't give a damn y'all allies or not, bro. We coming in your country and we stealing your shit. And if you don't like it, fuck them. We killing everybody. We don't really give a damn. We gonna starve y'all out and we gonna take y'all shit. And then we gonna sell it back to you. You know what I'm saying? That's just how we roll. We Scarface. We the king of Miami. You know what I'm saying? We the shit, you know? Who is Sosa? You know, Sosa being all these other nations and conglomeration with each other. Like, who is Sosa, bro? You can't touch me. I'm Scarface. Fuck everybody. And you know, and Tony's homeboy, I can't think of what his name was, would be like America's allies, you know? When they trying to tell you, look, bro, just chill, bro. You already on top. You know what I'm saying? You trying to get us to further our military budget, but it's kind of fucking us up. We can't really eat how we want to eat, you know? And you making us look bad and shit like that. You know, this is Tony friend, like, yo, bro, you know, I'm just trying to chill and eat with, you know, and be with your sister and whatever, whatnot, you know? But you want to flip out on me now, bro, you can get it too, you know? You know, just trying to paint it as an analogy, you know? But nevertheless, it says that because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood and for the violence of the land of the city and all that dwell therein, you know? Yeah, and all these nations gonna remember about all this shit, you know? Like I'm saying, they gonna remember how you starved their people out, you know? The people in Venezuela gonna remember how you had them eating the zoo animals and shit like that, you know? People in Syria gonna remember about how you basically depleted their whole nation, you know? And all these other nations are gonna remember about all the things you did to them, you know? This is part of the reason why Jacob, well, that's just written in the scripture, but you know, the Lord gonna put that remembrance on Jacob to remember all the atrocities you did to us, you know, and we're gonna come up on Esau for this, you know. All the nations are gonna put their hands on Esau. It says, verse 9, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high and may be delivered from the power of evil. Okay, and like for the analogy of this, it's like, yo, you got a dude, he like 16 or whatever, right? And his mom is a hardworking person, whatever, doing everything by the right. But homeboy want to be watching the internet too much and in the rap songs, so now he want to be a drug dealer, you know? And what? He want this evil he covets the evil covetousness, all right, by what? Trying to be the man, you know, being a limelight, and have the money and the fame and all, so on and so forth. By what? A evil covetousness by way of selling drugs, all right? Now, at the same time, the evil covetousness is the selling drugs. That shit come with a heavy price. The police could kick in your door, you know? And you staying at your mama house, you about to get your mama house raided. Your mama house raided, and they gonna take the house and take your siblings, you know? And because you're a so-called bad influence, you know, you know, you got your mama shit on the line and your family well-being on the line, you know? Or the jack boys might come in and kill your mom and your siblings, you know, because of the things you doing, you know? The scripture is saying, woe to that man that will put his peoples up, who will sacrifice your people for some evil shit that you doing, you know? Or I'm finna go, or like how these, you know, for another analogy, how these goddamn celebrities and shit like that, these rappers, they sacrifice their homeboy, their loved ones to get into the music game, you know? Same thing Esau does. He's sacrificing his whole nation. You know, his whole nation finna catch an L in the sight of men and also at the hands of Yahweh Shem Yahushua and his men for all the shit that these elites then did, you know? It wasn't the whole nation of Esau that's been doing all this wickedness, you know? There's only the elitists out here plundering these other nations and living lavish lives off of this, you know? It's only the elites of them that's really reaping the benefits off of the slavery and the genocide of Israel and stuff like that, you know? But what the whole Edom as a whole is taking the blame for this, you know, just like on an international scale, you know, it's basically America at the head, you know, pushing forth for all this bullshit that they got going on. But what? These other nations is taking the brunt of the heat as well, you know, just like in Europe. See, America's pushing for all dropping these terrorists off, like ISIS off in these countries and blowing these countries up, creating a refugee crisis. All right. But who is taking on the brunt of these refugees? It's the European nations. It's not America alone, So, America's desiring this evil, he's coveting, can't ever pronounce that word. He's desiring some bullshit, some evil bullshit at the price of his own people, more or less to say. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, I'm willing to sacrifice my own people, for my own greed, or for the real analogy, look, like America is willing to sacrifice, we willing to sacrifice Germany and these other European nations just for the plunder and shit and regime change in Syria, or we willing to sacrifice, our so-called Central and South American countries or allies for the how do I say, the plundering of Venezuela, It says, verse 9, Habakkuk 2:9, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. Okay? Yeah, because these elites want to fill their belly and their pockets and get rich. They didn't sacrifice the rest of their nations and everybody else just to fill their pockets, They committed this shame to their house by cutting off many people. All right? Now let me get into this quick little article real quick. There's an update on this Venezuela deal, It says MSN talk coup in Venezuela because it sits on U.S. oil, U.S. empire wants, And I know I keep bringing out these same, not really the same article, but these articles still talking about the same thing, But nevertheless, these articles getting more and more open, First it was Maduro is starving out his people, or at first it was these people out here want a democracy. They want a democratically elected ruler or president. They they want this and that. The people want to speak. Till the government is now corrupt. Now the government is trying to kill his people, or the government is stealing funds from the people and starving them out to enrich themselves and their military. And now the people is going broke over it, and the people starving over it. To now, the story is now basically, yeah, America's just starving the people out over here and causing propaganda stories and uprisings just so we can steal the oil, As this headline speaks, it says MSM talk coup in Venezuela because it sits on oil U.S. empire wants. All right. It says the American empire and its media openly talks coup in Venezuela because it sits on vast and nationalized oil resources. And this is U.S. expansionism at its finest. All right. And so let's just take off U.S. All right. But this is Edomite expansionism at its finest, since these damn Edomites came about the caves and Alexander, came into power and he died and his kingdom was divided up unto his four and evils was multiplied into the earth at that point in time. It's still, you started with this one king, Alexander. He died and then it multiplied. Evils was multiplied in the earth after the four that came up and after their sons, So it just kept expansionism, Fast forward to the time they got into the Spanish conquest and all that, so on and so forth, Then the 1492 ordeal, they expanded to this side. The colonialism, the British expansionism, Then you have the American expansionism, which you have going on till today, It says Venezuelan oil nationalized by Nicolas Maduro's socialist government is key to understanding why the U.S. neoliberal establishment and their media openly talks regime change. Abby Martin, who hosts a show on Venezuelan Tesla, told Lee Camp in an interview edition of Redacted Tonight, the situation in Latin America in the Latin American country is now so dire and Maduro is so undemocratic that only a splendid coup might help Venezuela become a democracy again, she said jokingly, citing some of the MSM narratives. Okay, it says, let me read that again. It says the situation in the Latin American country is so dire, Maduro is so undemocratic, and only a splendid coup might help Venezuela become a democracy again. Okay, so two things is going on here. That propaganda. They openly in the media is demonizing Nicolas Maduro, and then they suggestion or in a problem action solution or deal suggesting the outcome they want. They want this coup. Okay, why do they want this coup? So they can put in power their own puppet. Why do they want to put in power their own puppet? So they can take over and denationalize the oil supply, the resources, and put it back in the private hands, so that these private international bankers can steal the oil resources and take all the money off of it. All right, instead of the people. Here's the bottom line: the U.S. has done enormous damage to Venezuela. Okay, by the propaganda media takeover. Let's start with just the Trump administration. Martin, who used to host Breaking on the Set RT America, said there's been just a constant threat of regime change and collaboration with the opposition to basically win and seize power through undemocratic means. All right, so let me break this down in Jake talk. Basically, they saying they want to go in there and overthrow their government and set up their own puppets. We want to go over here and take over your set. Like Jake like to say, look, bro, y'all got y'all block over there, we got our block over here, but we finna go for the gusto. We finna take over y'all block and y'all shit. Nobody else over there finna get money unless we getting money. We finna tax all y'all shit. We gonna come up over here and we gonna have somebody else come and work your block. That's basically what's going on. And if Jake get down in the hood like that, and Jake be mad, like, nah, bro, you ain't finna come over here and tax my block. Tell me what I can and can't do. If Jake get down on some simple shit in the hood, how much more, a man over his own nation, his own country, a sovereign nation, and that's really a righteous thing, when you look at it on principle, how the fuck you coming in my house telling me what I can and can't do, we neighbors on the block, you came into my house saying, look, bro, you can't eat no more steak, bro. You can't eat no more string beans, bro. No more Gatorade is to be drank in this house no more, bro. No more Nike is to be worn in this house, How you gonna come into another man's house and tell him what he can and can't do, You can't watch CNN no more in your house, bro. That's some wicked shit, You need to mind your own business, mind your own house, And really, how much more when that man is eating off of something else, You come up in another man's house telling him, look, bro, when you get your paycheck, bro, you don't give your paycheck to your wife so she can go pay the bills, bro. You bring your paycheck to me, bro. As soon as you get your paycheck, matter of fact, you just sign your direct deposit over to me, bro. That's basically what America's saying to these other nations, We want your oil. We want your resources, It says there's been just a constant threat of regime change and collaboration with the opposition to basically win and seize power through undemocratic means. The reason the U.S. is so obsessed with Venezuela is simple, Martin says. We know that the American regime is an expansionist force. We know that capitalism is extremely predatory and it needs to expand. All right. Let me go into this last statement because that's the end of the article. It says we know that the American empire, okay, people don't really like to come to grips with that American empire. Really, it's the Edomite empire, all right? Because it's not just the American empire. Because people hate to say that, how they try to feed you the story that these is Americans over here. These is fucking Europeans, all right? These Europeans are all right in the carnal sense, okay? Not in the, we know that these niggas stole people's names, but these is Europeans that came over and extended their rulership over here. It wasn't no bullshit. They broke away because they wanted to be free and they didn't like the way they was running over there. Nah, they was expanding their territory, all right? And then when like how they use the word here, the American empire, that was another fucking cloak for the rest of their expansionism as they had over there going on. It's the same shit, But, but what they doing now, I think they call it nowadays, because they say this shit years after the fact that it didn't took place. But nowadays, what they would call this is the global war on terrorism, all right? And so you have to think of who is fighting the global war on terrorism. America and their allies, who is NATO and the Beast. You have the Great Horde and the Beast, okay? This is this fucking empire that you have. It's an Edomite empire because it's basically all Edomites, all right? The Horde and the Beast, right?
We know that the American Empire, or the Great Horn of Beast, all right, or the Edomite Empire, is an expansionist force. Yeah, like the scriptures say, who enlarges his desire is hell and cannot be satisfied. All right. We know that capitalism is extremely predatory. All right, and he heapeth unto himself all people. All right. So the reason, the capitalism is extremely predatory, when you go into capitalism, that so-called free trade, anybody can get it. If you can get it, you can get it. It ain't no rules, no holes barred. If you got some shit, you can get some shit. It ain't no really, you got different systems where like I want to say there's one of the systems where it's like it's an equalism basically. Like the government, everybody get all the money together. Everybody get all their shit together. Then y'all give it to the government. The government break it down. Everybody on an even playing field. Then you have like another system, like where you have like the kings and the peasants type of shit. You got your elites, and then you got the fucking working class. The working poor. And then you have, like I said, capitalism. It's a free for all. If you can get it, you can get it. You could be the fucking the working poor, and you just come up with some kind of fucking brainiac idea. Now you a rich elite, or you could be a rich elite and you can lose all your shit. Now you a broke ass nigga, So it don't really matter who you are. The lane open for any and everybody. But with this capitalism, this is basically a greed system, because once you get on, you're gonna be opening new doors and new levels now. Okay, so and Jake don't really understand this, but this is what caused all that greed and shit. You start your little small business. Let's just say you want to start your small business just to pay your bills and get on. So you start a little lawn business or some shit. You cut enough grass just to pay your bills and, you know what I'm saying, to get your daily bread. But you see how quick you can get your bill money. You're like, damn, I only got to work 4 days a week, 4 days out the week to get all my shit, and I'm good. Now I got 3-day weekends every week. You seeing it coming in, so now you like, hold up, if I go get me another truck and put it on the road, I could double that. Now now I can move up into a nicer neighborhood and then get me more and more trucks. See, this is so-called how capitalism works. You're gonna start getting that greed. Now I got the lawn business booming with 5 trucks. Let me go get a pool business. Now I got these extra, businesses bumping, and I got me a little bit of capital bumping. I can go invest in this. Now you got, different friends and so on and so forth. Now you go from making, $60,000 a year to pay all your bills to $100,000. Now 100,000 ain't enough. Now you want 500. Now you want $1 million. Now you in a whole different club with people. And so this was breeding these type of people. Once you get into this type of club, you got to get more and more and more and more. People don't get to 100,000 and just want to stop there. You're like, nah, you introduce to more people. That 100,000, once you get into that league, now you at the bottom again. You another broke nigga, because now you sitting beside niggas that's making 100, 200, or you making 100,000. Now these niggas making $1 million. Now you making $1 million. These niggas making 10 million. Now you making tens of millions. These niggas making 100 of millions. So on and so forth. So it's going to constantly keep growing. Once you can't get no more money here in America because you done got so many businesses, you got all the slaves occupied working and buying your shit, what you going to do? Go to another country. All right. Now you deplete that country. And now you got more slave owners now because the demand is bigger now. And there's more food on the table or more food at the bar for people to eat off of. So now more people come to the table. All right. It's a continuously growing thing because it's an endless cycle, the table get bigger every time you go to a whole new restaurant, more or less to say. All right. Every time the table get bigger, you get more people eating at the table. Every time you get more people eating at the table, the demand for food get bigger. So the desire get bigger, and this is how this shit keep expanding and going on, So I'm gonna read this again. It says, we know that the American Empire is an expansionist force. This is why they have to expand, because more and more people keep coming to the table. So they need to keep expanding. They need to put more into the so-called collection plate. And it says, we know that capitalism is extremely predatory. If you got some money or some resources, we can go over there to get the fuel of this machine, to prop it up and keep it going. We coming to get it, and it needs to expand. Yeah, because we got to keep eating to keep going. We got to keep putting fuel into this damn machine, or it's going to all collapse. If they just stop working, all get content, everything collapse. Nobody else get no more money. And this is why they going into their shit, and this is why America keep dividing this damn wickedness, and all these different nations gonna come together and basically come together against America. They're gonna all take up this proverb against them and basically all stand up against Esau and go to war with them. With that, Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity in the four corners of the earth. Stay strong. Shalom.